Hello, good morning. My name's Mike Rosen. I'm the Vice Dean Education and Faculty Tutor for UCL's Faculty of Population Health Sciences. We're going to have a couple of short introductions from our Dean, Graham Hart, in a minute. But the main purpose of today is just to take you through some of the essentials at UCL around our regulations and around the services that we offer you. You will have heard about some of these at departmental level, but we also offer them at faculty level. And I'll tell you a bit more about the structure of the faculty so you'll know how you're all related on all of your different programs and in all of your different institutes in a minute. So now, Graham Hart, who is Dean of our faculty.
Walking without an umbrella, but never mind. Just to further emphasise that this is an utterly remarkable space. And I was just saying to Mike, you don't get this kind of theatre in most universities. But I think the broader point, particularly for MSc and MRes students, PGT, as you are, is to do the thing that often you people don't do, which is make the most of the university. You're back in a university, whether you're from UCL or elsewhere, and there is an amazing cultural life around the university itself. And I think the temptation, particularly, your hard-working students, the coursework you've got to get through, you might have to do a dissertation and so on and so forth. You might feel that's quite enough for you with the rest of your lives, but actually you are part of UCL, London's global university, with its amazing resources. So I'm really delighted to welcome you to UCL if this is your first time here, and so pleased that you've chosen us as the place to study. I never did an MSc or an MRes. I went straight from my undergraduate into a PhD, and I actually really regretted the opportunity to spend some real time and in depth in a subject is something that's a wonderful opportunity, and our MSc students almost inevitably have a very positive experience, and we're delighted that they tell us so. And so, it is hard work. You are studying something in depth. You're going further into a topic. But again, please, enjoy your studies and make the most of your time here. You're coming to a faculty which is one of the largest in UCL. We have 7 institutes. They cover global health, women's health, child health, cardiovascular science, clinical trials, health informatics, and epidemiology and healthcare. So we style ourselves the life course faculty because essentially we deal with actually preconception, nutrition before for a mother before a child is born, through to birth, childhood, adolescence, and so on into adulthood. So we really do cover that range of topics, and that's what you'll see as part of wherever your specific focus is. You'll almost certainly see that life course perspective articulated clearly in your teaching. We're one of UCL's, in a research-intensive university, one of the university's most research-intensive by research income, and so we generate nearly a quarter of all UCL's research income. So that demonstrates, in a sense, the significance of the faculty to the university. And of course, that inevitably means that you're going to be taught by some of the world's leading researchers. You're going to we often have a situation in which MSc students successfully publish from their studies as a consequence of their work here. But actually, although we are hugely successful in terms of grant income and publications, what we're most interested in is the real-world impacts of our research and how that improves population health, how health benefit occurs both for individual patients and whole populations. So there's a whole push to essentially demonstrate the impact of universities. And at UCL, we have something called Made at UCL, hashtag Made at UCL. You can see that online. And the faculty is very present in that list of successful, impactful research studies, including an app that's being used in Malawi and is going to be rolled out across Africa to improve newborn healthcare. Research in my field, in the HIV field, which demonstrates through the largest clinical trial that if you're HIV positive and on antiretroviral treatment, it is literally impossible to transmit the virus if you have an undetectable viral load. A real-world trial that took a huge amount of time and effort to put together, but its impact globally has been enormous. But we're also, although called population health, we're also very clinically oriented. And so here was undertaken the first UK surgery prenatally in the womb with babies with spina bifida to try and repair that damage that had occurred in the womb ahead of the birth. And the Institute for Women's Health, the Institute of Child Health worked together on that research and on that surgery, resulting, we hope, in much improved health outcomes for children that otherwise would be severely disabled. So I mean, it's that kind of excitement that we want you to feel as part of your studies in your own topic areas, the developments that have occurred, yes, here at UCL, but also in other universities, but that they really are for real-world impact and not just for purely academic or disciplinary purposes. That's our overall goal. But you're going to hear more about the university. You're going to hear more about the faculty, and I know Mike's going to be starting you on that journey. From me, the very warmest of welcomes to you all. I may not see you again until you come onto the stage at the Royal Festival Hall, where I will mangle your name in front of your parents and friends and so on. You'll come up, I'll read your name, and the provost or vice provost will be there to shake your hand, and you'll go off. But honestly, from this point to that point, really do make the most of your time at UCL. Sadly, I have to leave. I promise you, rather less interesting things to do than be here. I'd much rather be here. But Mike, I'm going to hand over to you and continue the welcome. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I want to just talk a bit about the structure that you find yourselves within. You will have access to all of these slides, and I'm aware many of you have been to international induction and have heard a lot about UCL. So I just want to contextualize the faculty that you find yourself in. So we're that one circled over on the right, Population Health Sciences, which is part of this School of Life and Medical Sciences, which is so vast, it's probably equivalent to about the 10th largest university in Britain alone, that school. And we sit within this amazing multi-faculty university as well, and we have lots of collaborative links across the different faculties. Some of you may explore modules in those different faculties as well. Within the Faculty of Population Health Sciences, we have 7 institutes. 6 of you are here today. The Institute for Global Health is not, because they've got many students and we couldn't fit them all in today with you. But they are based down at the Great Ormond Street Institute of Child Health, and there's students from that institute here today, cardiovascular science, clinical trials and methodology, epidemiology and healthcare, health informatics, and women's health. So there's over 1,300 of you. We don't have our PhD students here today, but there's 350 or so of you. And as Graham said, very research-intensive faculty. And so we kind of have a northern campus and a southern campus, or maybe it's an eastern and a western campus. Don't know what you'd call it. Clustered up here into health informatics, epidemiology and healthcare, cardiovascular science, Institute for Women's Health in the kind of classic Bloomsbury centre of UCL. And over this side, child health and global health and clinical trials and methodology. What I would really like to encourage, because I know the child health people here today and the clinical trials and methodology people here today can get stuck down that end. But a lot of university thing, especially extracurricular stuff, is happening in the Bloomsbury part that you're now in. That's partly why we've organised this induction here today, to get you exploring the rest of the campus and UCL's full potential. Also based up here, just next door, is the new study centre as well, which some of you may have been into. Worth going in and exploring and basing yourselves there for some of the time, even if you come from another part of campus where there are study centres already. So I want to talk now about the structure that's going to support you within each of your institutes. You will all have a personal tutor, but beyond that, and your programme leads, who I'm sure most of you will already have met, you have a kind of hierarchy and structure of support and reference. And these go by the names: departmental graduate tutors, directors of education, and us, the faculty staff. And beyond that, UCL centrally has a whole network for you. So this is me and Rick, who you saw leaping up onto the stage to save us. We work at faculty level to support education. But really, a lot of the time, we are supporting these guys at your level, institute level. And these are the directors of education in each of the different institutes who you will have met. And they set the strategy and monitor the quality of your education. And so if something's going wrong in your programme, you can always talk to them about it, and things can be corrected. They will also elicit your views on how we can enhance our education in the future. So watch out for those people. They're complemented and may sometimes be the same as, they share the role, of departmental graduate tutors. And these people assess things like if you submit an extenuating circumstance, so for a one-week extension for an essay, these people can grant it. But we'll come back to that in a second. And we all report to Graham, who you've just seen, but he now has a beard, obviously. There's also a kind of the student structure as well, which you're going to hear more about. And I encourage you to become student reps at your programme and departmental level. And we also need a faculty level student rep as well. From the other side of things, one of the most important things you can do for your teachers towards the end of the year is to think about nominating the really good ones for the Student Choice Awards. That's really valued by us because it's coming directly from you. And that's the kind of structure on the student side. So I'd like to invite Jane Simmons, who is one of that support structure. She's departmental graduate tutor at the Great Ormond Street Institute of Child Health and programme lead for the MSc in physiotherapy, to help me just tell you some of the essential regulations. The regulations are all in our academic manual, which is vast. There are so many things regulating you. But we're just going to focus on key ones to remember very briefly, and then I'm going to concentrate on one particular thing: plagiarism. So over to just for Jane for a bit.
Thanks very much, Mike, and welcome to everybody. Wonderful to see you all here, and as everyone said already, it's a warm welcome to you all, and we really want you to be enjoying your studies. And clearly there are a lot of regulations, and it's really important that you abide by them, and of course we can help you. So you need to familiarise yourself with the regulations. The first key one really to talk about here is word count penalties. Now, I'm not going to read this slide out in detail. You're going to be able to go away and read these because you will have access to them. But the key thing is that there are word count penalties. And one of the reasons why we have those penalties is the thing you're going to be learning about is how to write concisely and to keep within a word count. So there are penalties. You need to familiarise yourself with this within our institute, within our faculty. These are our guidelines, but outside our faculty, if you're taking modules outside, you need to familiarise yourself with those guidelines as well. Late submissions is another thing. So if you're someone who tends to be working up to the last minute, what I'd suggest is you start to plan early, see when your deadlines are so that you don't get caught up with a late submission. Because again, there is a graded penalty for late submissions, and we don't want to have these penalties. And again, you can read these clearly here. But the key thing is that anything that you submit that's over 5 working days late is going to end up with a mark of 0. And you definitely don't want a 0. So make sure you plan ahead and don't fall into that category. There are times, however, when there are some extenuating circumstances, and you'll hear this commonly called an EC. And this is when there are circumstances in your student's life where things happen. They're sudden, they're unexpected, they significantly disrupt your life, and they may affect your ability to do your assessment and to do it well. If this happens to you, if you become seriously ill or someone close to you dies, something like that happens, then you need to notify UCL. You need to let someone know. You'll know within your department who to contact, but usually a good point of call is to get in contact with the administrator, your personal tutor, or the module lead to let them know that this has happened, because we've got clear direction about what happens. You will need to submit a form within 1 week, and you'll have to provide evidence to support that. So that's something like a doctor's certificate will be the usual sort of thing. If you can't get that evidence in within the week, then it can be pending. You do have to get evidence in over time, but you need to get the forms in, so make sure that you do that. So there are times when within a department, as Mike has said, someone like myself, a graduate tutor or one of the education leads will be able to grant you a week's extension, but anything beyond that's going to go to a faculty panel, of which then there are a range of different outcomes, which may end up in you deferring the assessment or handing it in a bit later. The panel will decide what's going to be appropriate for that. So the ECs really relate to something that's happened suddenly. But if you're someone that's suffering with something longer term, so if you've got a chronic condition, a disability, something like that, then you really need to be contacting the Student Support and Wellbeing Centre, and they will be able to undertake an exploration of that and then come up with a needs assessment. We call that a SORA. So if you fall into that category or develop a long-term condition, something that you might want to discuss with your personal tutor will direct you towards student support and wellbeing. And then from that, we can make the necessary accommodations. The other thing that's really important here, and this is particularly for our UK visa and our Tier 4 visa students, are that you need to be attending regularly, and you need to be signed in, and you will be monitored. So you'll find that there will be sign-in forms. You need to be doing that. They'll be contacting your tutors to make sure that you are engaging, and the UC regulation requires a minimum of 70% attendance. So anything, and you can see in the middle there, we've just put down pastoral. So if anything's coming up that needs to be attended to, the key thing, early intervention prevents a crisis situation. So, flag it up soon. Come and talk to us. All the staff here got open doors. You can easily contact us, particularly your personal tutor or module lead or program lead, and they can attend to that. The next big thing, and this is a really important part at UCL, the whole area of assessment and feedback. We're told often that students want more feedback, and I know that the staff work really hard to provide the feedback. So the key thing is that we're investing a lot of time in giving useful feedback on your assignments, and the feedback's going to help you to understand what you've done well, and it's also going to highlight what you need to improve on. Sometimes students don't get round to actually, they're keen on looking at the mark but don't necessarily engage with the feedback. That feedback or feed forward is really key, and if you don't understand something about it, if you're not clear about that, then go and see the module lead, go and see your personal tutor and work it through with them so that you can make those improvements. Because, as I said, the feedback's important because you want to improve, you've come to learn, and we want to help you to do that. And the final thing I'm going to talk about before I hand back over to Mike is what you've come for, which is to go away with a degree. And in this faculty, we provide different levels of degree classification. You can get a pass, where you'll be getting 50% or more, okay, on your overall average of 180 credits if you're doing a master's degree. Of that, there can be a condonement of 25%, which is might be two 15-credit modules or a 30-credit module. This is something that is decided at the exam board. That's if you get that's if you've got in a condonable grade something between 40 and 49%. If you fall below 40% on an assessment, you will need to do a retake, and those retakes take place usually between June and early September. The other type of grading you can get is a merit. That's where your overall mark is 59.5% or more, or it might be that you've got 58.5 or more and you've got module marks of at least 60% of them in 50% of the credits. And above that is the distinction where it's an overall grade mark of 69.5% or more. Again, if you gained an average of 68.5 and you've got 70% in at least 50% of the credits, you can also be awarded a distinction. And the same applies with areas of condonement and retake. So those similar types of classifications will be awarded for the PG DIP and for the BG Cert. You just have to be aware and check carefully if you're undertaking a module which is non-condonable, because you must achieve 50% in that particular module. And there might be slightly different rules which apply for the MRes. So I'm going to hand over to Mike, who's going to talk a bit more about the failures.
Well, actually, maybe I just wouldn't depress you too much. I mean, failure is usually quite marginal on master's programs. As Jane said, you can, on your standard UCL program, you're allowed 30 credits of condonability. So 30 credits within the 40 to 49% range, and you can still get a master's. If you, by June, only have 30 credits, we automatically condone those, and you don't resit. Yeah. If you have more than 30 credits, a couple of things apply. You resit all of the credits that you have failed. Yeah. You don't get to choose which ones you failed because we don't know which ones you're going to pass. And what you've got to be aware of is that you're doing, as master's students, your dissertation at the time. So if you find you've got 45 credits of failure, you're going to have quite a lot of work to do resitting everything and your dissertation over the summer. If you have more than 60 credits of failure, you will be asked to repeat, which means that you come back next year and you pay full fees and you take the tuition and do it all again. Because there's such a lot of failure that it means that we need to know that you've understood the program. Yeah? And very, very, very few students end up in this position. All right? So I wouldn't worry too much about it. So that's basically the consequences of failure. One other thing to mention, there's only ever 2 attempts at a module. Even if you're repeating, that's your second attempt. Yeah? And all of those second attempts are capped at 50%. Yeah? So that's basically it. So I wanted to briefly mention plagiarism. What we call, under a broader banner, student academic misconduct, because it includes other things like colluding with other students to produce a piece of work which basically people are copying each other. We like collaboration, but you've got to submit independent work that's your own in the end. If it's not independent, it's collusion. Yeah, that's the difference. Falsification of research results, that's student academic misconduct, all of these things. But plagiarism is the one that exercises people. You are all postgraduate students. You will have all been lectured about this ad nauseum as an undergraduate. Maybe if you've come from a different university system elsewhere in the world, it may not be the case that you've had the same kind of rules applied. So this is why, one of the reasons why we talk about this now, but also because what we know is that even people coming from the UK system still plagiarise. I sit on UCL's central plagiarism panel, which deals with all of the worst cases. Let me tell you now, you don't ever want to get to that position where you are being summoned in front of a university panel. Most of this stuff we deal with harshly at departmental level, but if you have a second plagiarism offence, it goes directly upwards to the panel. So plagiarism, very simply, is passing off someone else's work, whether intentionally or unintentionally, as your own, for your own benefit. Someone else's work can include not just their exact words, but also their ideas. Yeah? If you're working in different disciplines, it isn't just written words necessarily. It's software, for example, code, yeah, which gets copied completely. So be aware that plagiarism applies very, very broadly. So it's about turning in someone else's work as your own, copying words or ideas without giving someone else credit, failing to put a quotation in quotation marks, giving incorrect information about the source of a quotation. I teach you lot, actually, some of you I'll teach on population health. What I would say to you now is that we know which sources you're quoting from. We've read a lot of this literature, so you can find out. Changing words, but slightly copying and changing the sentence structure. That's quite common. You think that's not plagiarism, but it is if you're doing it consistently throughout. Basically copying so many words or ideas from a source that it makes up the majority of your work, whether you give it credit or not. The rest of these slides contain advice on how to avoid that, citing sources correctly, and, most importantly, by paraphrasing. You will have noticed on your chairs there is a notebook, yes, which we are giving to you as a faculty because we want you to take notes as part of your lecture. I know you're all in the digital age and you take them on your iPads, but I think it's quite nice to get out of that and take it on with pen and paper sometimes. Can I say one thing about note-taking? Try not to verbatim take notes from a source. Always, even when note-taking, not when you're writing essays, or not just when you're writing essays, start to paraphrase. Put those words and ideas into your own words. That is practice for avoiding plagiarism. So that's all the stuff that you can find in this presentation. UCL's plagiarism policy is here. What I would say to you is that under the new student academic misconduct regulations this year, basically, if you're found to have plagiarized on one of your 15 credit modules, you will get 0. And you will then go to your second attempt, which, as I've already told you, will be capped at 50%. Yeah? That's the slight quirks around that. You can go and read the full policy. But basically, that's it. We penalise this quite harshly. And if there's, subsequent to that, a second offence, you will be referred up to UCL's central plagiarism panel. And then that gets, we can issue expulsion at that point if we think it's serious enough. Away from academic misconduct, we also have a general code of conduct around your behaviour with your teachers, but mainly actually between you lot and other students and with people around you, the public. you're expected to be a good ambassador for UCL and show respect for learning activities here and beyond the classroom. It covers important things like punctuality, bullying, honesty, and also it encourages you to show care for your peers as well as a core attribute of a UCL student. We expect you to look out for each other. So what can you do if you have a complaint about us? You can speak to any of the people in the support structures I've talked to earlier, especially your departmental graduate tutor or your director of education, because they are separate from your programs and your module leads and your personal tutors, yeah? You can also speak to me as the faculty tutor at faculty level, and above and beyond that, you could also talk to the student mediator, Dr. Ruth Siddle, who's great at resolving complaints informally, but usually we sort of work through the structures. If you've exhausted all of those and need to make a formal complaint, the link is there. And we hope not, of course. So, I always sound a bit like Mr. Nasty in these presentations. So I'm going to hand over to the rest of the more positive experience of UCL and what we're going to offer you by handing over to Joe Budd, and who's going to tell you a bit about support we're thinking about for you in terms of your future career. Thank you, Joe.
Hi everyone, good to see you all. Hope you're having a good week so far. So you're probably hearing a lot about beginnings, coming here to start your postgraduate. I'm here to talk to you about endings. So thinking about your career and what you can do this year to help you start thinking about what it is that you want to be doing when you finish. So I'm Jo Budd, I'm the Careers Consultant for the Faculty of Population Health Sciences. You can book appointments with us. So if you go to my UCL Careers, there's a host of things that we can help you with. So booking one-to-one appointments. There's also specific life and health science appointments that aren't on here, but they will be available to you on my UCL Careers. There is also application advice appointments that you can tap into as well. So if you want to have your CV, cover letters, application forms, personal statements looked at, you can book a 20-minute appointment with an applicant advisor, and we will read through it and have a chat about it and come up with some feedback for you as well. So there's other things as well. So if you have a pending interview, you can also book an hour-long slot where you can have a mock interview appointment. So that works by sending in a job description, and we will create a set of questions based around that job description and take you through an interview process and try and kind of create it as real life as possible for you and come up with feedback, and we can talk about getting over any kind of anxieties that you have about interviews and things like that. So it's a really nice space to be open and try and work through that together. There's also tons of events and workshops for you. So I'll show you a slide a bit later about more specifically what we're doing, but there'll be panel events, group workshops that are CV workshops as well. So there's about 6 of you in a workshop, and you will work together with an applicant officer. But there will also be faculty-based events and workshops for you as well, which I will go into a bit more detail in a second. Using my UCL Careers, there will be vacancies. So these can be ad hoc jobs, they can be internships. So do keep an eye on that. If you're kind of looking for work and just kind of curious about what's out there as well. There is a newsletter, so if you do want to kind of keep on top of what we're up to, there's a weekly newsletter. I'm sure you're going to be bombarded with a lot of emails and things like that, so maybe just check into my UCL Careers every couple of weeks or look at things on the newsletter as well. Okay, so this is what I was talking about a second ago. So these are the Careers Essential talks and workshops, and there's also an e-learning Moodle site for you to tap into as well. So the Careers Essential talks focus on the essentials. So there'll be CV workshops, how to prepare yourself for careers fairs. They're coming up quite swiftly in the next few weeks. How to prepare for interviews, these kinds of things. So if you feel like you just need a little bit of guidance with that, do book onto them. They're interactive sessions, and students find them very helpful in just kind of getting that overview of what you need to be doing with CVs or interviews and things like that. There is the e-learning module, so if you go onto the careers website, you can log on to the Moodle, and there's a 6-part module which also focuses on the essentials. So if you find that you can't come to a talk, do look onto the Moodle, and there'll be some clear guidance there as well for you. So I was talking, this is just a further extension. There's also aptitude tests in terms of sessions on personality testing, Myers-Briggs, that kind of thing. Some students find that really interesting, so just flagging that as well for you. So this is something new that we're doing this year, and I spoke about it a second ago, the smaller group work, application or CV workshops where you'll be working in groups of 6, just to kind of peer-to-peer learning in terms of finding out what other people are doing, and having a specialist applicant advisor there to help guide you with your CV as well. So these are some dates for your diary, things that are coming up, careers fairs that are coming up, particularly Life and Health Sciences one at the Francis Crick on the 28th of October. I'll be there, and a couple of other people from careers as well. I will also be running a Careers Essential talk on preparing yourself for fairs as well, because it's good to have a strategy. I'm sure if you went to them as undergrads, it can be a bit overwhelming. There's loads of people there, all trying to kind of talk to the same people. So just trying to figure out a strategy about how to navigate the careers fair in a way that's going to be most impactful for you, and finding out some information that's going to really help kind of formulate some careers ideas as well. So there's also the sector theme weeks, and new this year, we used to do life and health as 1 week. We've actually split it into 2, so there will be life sciences and a health sciences week, which allows us to kind of focus more deeply on the health side of things, because we felt like it was being a bit neglected in past years. But there will be other sector-themed weeks that are probably relevant to you all. So there's the Government and Policy one, which is actually happening on the 21st, so the week commencing the 21st of October. As you can see, there's lots of others. So there's the Charities and NGOs happening, week commencing of the 27th. International Development, that's in February. And then the Careers in Health, the week commencing the 10th of February. So you've got a bit of time to kind of think about that, but the Government and Policy one is coming up imminently. So as well as kind of the centralised activities that we put on for you, I will be also delivering some workshops and also collaborating with other members of faculty to deliver panel events for you. So these are all starting kind of mid-October. So they're up there for you, and you'll be able to kind of book on and find information about these via the My UCL Careers booking system. So do kind of have a look at that when you can. And I've already mentioned the newsletter, so do sign up to that if you'd like to kind of get in touch with us, come and see us. And we're located in the Student Union building opposite Waterstones on the 4th floor. So it would be great if you do book in and come and visit us as well. So these are other ways that you can keep in touch with us. Just to note that we've got a new YouTube channel and content which is coming out with kind of 3 to 4 minute tips and advice. So the most recent one is creating impactful CVs. So my colleague Raj is part of kind of creating the video content, and I watched it on Monday. It's a really great kind of resource for you. So 3 minutes just to kind of, doesn't take up too much time, but has some really good information for you as well. So do look at the YouTube channel and tap into any of those other social media things as well. And that's our website there, so if you wanted to kind of note that down now. So I have to shoot off to another induction, but has anyone got any questions at this point? No? A lot of information happening this week. Great.
Thank you, Jo.
Thank you.
So there's also going to be stuff happening within your institutes and sometimes at your program level as well. So there's quite a comprehensive range of things. Just to back up on something that she's saying about Government and Policy Week, fast-track civil service applications will have to be in soon for entry into the civil service next year. So if you're interested in that thing, you've really got to get your act together now. All right, that's just, and maybe that Government and Policy Week is a good chance to do it. So I wanted to now welcome Daphne Thomas, who's going to be talking to you about the academic writing and academic communications offer that we're going to put together for you as a faculty this year. Over to you, Daphne.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mike, for having me along. This is a fantastic venue to be on the stage. Don't worry, I won't sing. I'll spare you that. So as Mike said, I am from the Centre for Languages and International Education. As you're probably realising, if you're new to UCL, we talk in acronyms. So we're known as CLIE, C-L-I-E. CLIE is a department which offers many courses in many different languages, but the area that I work in, as Mike said, is academic communication support. It's a fantastic achievement to be where you are now, so congratulations on getting onto this Masters in the first place. It's fantastic. Each Masters comes with its different challenges, and one of those is academic communication and getting a handle on what you're required to do in terms of the written and speaking assignments that you have to do during the year and the skills that this requires. Mike's already referred to perhaps a little bit more, but when I came in, Mike was referring to plagiarism, note-taking, and he's given lots of key advice there. Often students can understand the advice, but they're not in the habit of doing these things and of practicing these skills. So that's where we come in. So from reading week, from the middle of, beginning of November, I'm careful when I say reading week because it differs across UCL. From November, we'll be offering a series of workshops in academic writing and academic speaking also, which will assist you in the skills that I'm referring to. So helping you with understanding what your assignment titles are, engaging critically with the literature that you're reading, establishing your own voice, your point of view, constructing an argument, writing a clear essay, a sensibly, logically organized essay, which is supported not just with what you're reading, but supported with your own views as well. Essays which are accurately referenced. Often, Mike has referred to plagiarism, and often when we do have to deal with cases of plagiarism, the student is not intending to cheat. The student just often doesn't understand what constitutes plagiarism and also how to avoid it. They found a source, they want to use it, but they're not sure how to actually apply this into their writing effectively. So we will look at tasks which you are given and the kind of tasks which you are given, help you unpack the assignment, help you organize your response, help you plan your response, and give you advice on how to paraphrase, how to summarize, how to reference effectively, and how to construct, as I said, a logical argument which is critically engaging with the literature which you're reading. We'll also look at academic speaking skills, for instance, confidence and fluency in discussion, how to give effective presentations, if that's a requirement for you. And then later in the academic year, you'll have the opportunity to sign up for one-to-one tutorials. This is once you are writing assignments, you're getting feedback, and you need to respond to the feedback. Often students are given feedback, but they don't focus on the feedback, they focus on the score. And the feedback isn't properly taken on board for you to build on in your next assignment. So that's the kind of thing we're doing. I'm here today just to let you know that this is coming. I know you're getting a lot of information this week, but hopefully when the emails and the information come through towards the end of October, you will remember that lady who threatened to sing and didn't, and talk to you about these skills. And if you think this is for you, then you can sign up for these workshops. Also, if you're not sure, myself or one of my team will be able to help you, and I'm sure someone in the faculty as well. If you think, actually, I'm not sure, do I need to do this yet? Please always ask so that we can respond to any queries. Any questions now? Okay, well, thank you everyone for listening, and thank you, Mike, for the time.
Great. Thank you, Daphne. So, yeah, as Daphne says, we're going to make you aware of when those workshops are going to be, and they'll run in different phases throughout the year, and we'll let you know towards sometime the middle or the end of October and ask you to book in for them then. Okay. I'm actually now want to run forward a bit because the Student Union haven't arrived. And I'm probably going to show the welfare video last. So let's just fast forward to Paul, who's just conveniently walked in, who is the Faculty Director of Operations, which is quite a massive job in such a big faculty. He's just going to briefly talk to you about health and safety essentials during your time at UCL. You will have institute-specific ones here, but these are kind of general principles to remember. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, and good morning. Still morning, just. There are two key messages in here. I'm Director of Operations across 7 institutes here at UCL, but I also work in a Hall of Residence as a warden, and have done for a long time. And it's just trying to get the key messages to you in terms of that you need to be involved in this. So you need to know what you can expect from your departments, and when you go back to your departments, what you're expecting them to give to you. And if that doesn't happen, to shout that it doesn't happen and make sure that you understand locally. And the second bit is about your personal engagement in this, and that everyone has a role in it. So I've got to cover 4 areas very, very briefly. So local safety information, accident reporting, display screen equipment, and fire. The first one is when you go back into the institute, wherever your course, whatever you're doing, we have a whole protocol on where you go in any event, what are the local safety arrangements, what is the reporting line, and how you access that, who you need to go to. Very practically speaking, the first immediate one is there will be a local first aider. On every area, there's a local first aider across this institution. If you get injured or there's an incident, you don't want to be looking to find out now who is that local first aider that now I've just cut my arm, I don't know who to go to, and I need to access the computer to find out who they are. So it's critical at the outset you just quickly orientate yourselves and go, who are they? Let me just check I know who they are. I know who I'm going to. Hopefully nothing happens across the whole year, but at least you've established that in your mind, where you're looking, how you get to that information quickly. So go back and do the local induction, and please listen to just those few key pieces of information. You will be overloaded with information throughout this whole process, but just go, right, name or board, that's where the name is, that's where I'll look if anything ever happens. And it's down to that sort of level for you to just access it and listen to it. There will also be a lot of detail on local fire induction. We all have to do fire drills across the year. There will be a point, if you happen to be there, where you all trucked outside or not trucked outside. In Hall over the years, there have been a number of incidents where we have had genuine fires. At the point that you've got this pall of smoke heading down a corridor to you, again, it's not the time to start thinking about, what was it that I was supposed to do in the event of a fire? You will find the green signs that everyone understands in terms of where a fire exit is and how you're supposed to go out. But sometimes there are key bits about where are you supposed to go and what order you're supposed to do things in. So please listen to that in the local environment. And as I said, if you're not being told, shout. There's so many times that people said, I was never told, but you've never actually told us that we failed you. And it's just a sort of kind of circuit of bad behaviour. For any of you who are in a laboratory, my key message here is do not do anything in that laboratory till you've done the health and safety work that needs to be done. It is there to protect you, to ensure there is no risk of you coming to harm in that environment. So please make sure, remind your local staff to go through it in detail. And if you don't understand it, ask. There is no harm in having a stupid question. All of us have to ask them, and it's the only way of keeping yourself safe. Accident reporting, again, there will be a local first aider, there will be a process. Just familiarise yourself ahead of time, and you are part of that process. If there is anything that happens locally, you have got a responsibility to help in the reporting of it. It's not just something that happens to have happened and you've got no part in it. And almost my final bit, we all, over time, we used to have these lovely static computers and you had lots of work on how you sit at a desk appropriately in the right chair, to form your back, to sit and look in the right way. You now all work on laptops. You work in multiple different environments and it's changing. To me, the critical thing here is be aware that what we do and the way we sit and the way we access any of our computing facilities potentially is causing harm. We have repetitive strain injury, we have bad way of looking at things, we don't recognise when light is reflecting on our screen that actually you're harming yourself. We do have a whole system to try and look after you and help ensure that we take care of you while you're using systems. But again, you will be taken through a process if you're using a local screen about the screen display, how it works with you, what your chair's like. If you're in a situation as a PhD student sitting doing that, great, take it seriously and get involved because you're looking after yourself. And that's what we're trying to do here, is look after you, not hammer you home with a load of rules. And you'll go through one of these tests if you're lucky enough to have a static situation. And the final one which I mentioned was that pool of smoke coming down the corridor. Notice where you need to go in the event of a fire alarm, but also you've got a part in this. Don't presume that the local fire officer happens to be in that part of the building and hasn't just gone off to lunch and that we haven't got absolute coverage. So all of us have a part in this. If you genuinely think there is a risk and you're worried about it, either, and there's visible smoke, there's react immediately. We have call points, you have smash glasses. I would far rather that we had an incident where you knocked it because you genuinely thought there was a risk and there was a fire going on, than you walked past thinking someone else was going to do it, because we're all part of making sure we've got safety in our local environment. And the critical one is get out. If there's a fire, leave the building, leave as quickly as possible. Do not think that you should stay in there. And we have this constantly in halls where people kind of go, well, it went on for a while, so I thought I'd come out of my room and see what was going on. And you're going to go, by the time you'd have reacted, you've put yourself and everyone else in danger because A, the fire brigade have got to come up and rescue you potentially, and B, you can't get out of the building anymore because you didn't take it seriously. And that, I think, in terms of, I'm supposed to tell you in terms of don'ts, you will hear this locally. Really take that line on leaving the building seriously. Yes, pick up stuff if it's right with you. You'll all have your phones, you'll want them in your pocket, but do not stop to think, oh, I've got to sort everything else out and leave. and do not under any circumstances use lifts. They either have shut-off mechanisms so they stop working, or they're putting you in a really dangerous situation if you are using them. And never go back in unless someone instructs you to go back into the building, however safe it looks. Right, and I was put on merely just to break it up because you've got so much information you've got today with, you need different faces, different messages. Thank you, and I hope you don't have to use any of that over the whole year. That's the ideal, but please listen in your local environment. Thank you.
Okay, so just going to skip back a few slides. So we're going to welcome the Student Union up to the stage now, and to talk about what they do, and particularly their role with student academic representatives as well. Are you ready? Come on up. So we work quite closely with the Students' Union to try and ensure the quality of your experience here, so please listen to what they have to say. And as I mentioned earlier, think about becoming a student academic representative.
So I'm Darcy. I'm one of 7 elected sabbatical officers to represent you guys. I'm the activities officer, so I'm in charge of our clubs and societies, student volunteering and student enterprise.
Sorry, excuse me. I'm Danielle. I'm the Advice and Advocacy Manager here at the Students' Union. So I'm a full-time member of staff, and I'm responsible, amongst other things, for the advice service and also a lot of the support and wellbeing work that we do.
So all of you in this room are automatically members of the Students' Union. If you're a UCL student, then you're a member of the union, unless you've chosen to opt out, which we hope you haven't. As a Students' Union, we're quite different from others in that we're predominantly postgrad. So there's a lot of our activities and campaigns that are done with postgraduates in mind. You may not think it's for you. I know a lot of postgraduates are worried about the commitment, but there's so much going on at our Students' Union for you guys that you should definitely have a look and get involved. I'm not sure if this is the presentation that we saw, so I'm just going to talk about Jim for a bit. Jim is one of our other officers. Is he there? Yeah, there you go. Jim's in that corner, the only guy, bless him. He is your postgraduate students officer, so he works full-time to make sure that we are doing the most that we can for postgraduate students. He's got loads of plans and loads of ideas for this year, so if you're really keen on working with him, definitely get in contact with him. He's really up for that. What's the next one? I don't think we're going to play the video, so I'm just going to talk you through what it would have said. So there's a bit in there that I talk about, and I'm quite grateful that I don't have to watch myself on screen. I talk about our clubs and societies. We have over 320 different clubs and societies for you guys to get involved with. If that is something you're interested in, definitely come along to the Welcome Fair this weekend from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. on the Saturday, with 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday being targeted at postgraduates, and then 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Sunday if you can't make it on the Saturday. They'll all be there. You can ask them questions about what it is that they do. If you're interested, you can register your interest and they'll give you a bit more information. And it's just a great way to sort of see what it is that we do. There's demonstrations and performances all day, and loads of free pens if you want some of those. We also obviously have Team UCL, which is what all of our sports teams play under. We have 5,500 students competing every week against other universities and national leagues. And we also have teams at every skill level. So if you are sat there thinking, oh, I really want to give football a go, or oh, I really want to do ultimate frisbee, but you're like, I am not a professional, it really doesn't matter. There's teams at every level, as well as something called Project Active, which is our participation sport program that was initially designed to engage postgraduates in sport. It's non-committal, you pay as you go, you can turn up to as many or as little sessions as you want, and it's a great way to sort of get involved. And they span the entire spectrum of activities. They do Bollywood dancing, they do Zumba, bar class, to yoga, to football. So definitely, if that's something you're interested in, when the website comes up at the end, make a note of it and check that out. Representing you. So just before we spoke, they mentioned about academic reps. Those elections are going to be coming up in October. So every department will have an academic rep for undergraduate, postgraduate taught, and postgraduate research. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely have a look at the elections in October and put yourself forward for that. They will work with our education officer on what's called our education zone about shaping the policy that we're then lobbying UCL to ultimately make your experience better. Your academic rep will be in charge of making sure that you're listened to and making sure they're feeding that back to your department and then feeding that into the wider campaigns that we're campaigning for. It's a really great way of obviously developing leadership skills, but also making sure that you're getting the most out of your course and making sure that you're here and you're getting the experience that it is that you wanted to get. We also have elections coming up for our zones. So as a union, we function as having policy zones. So we have an activity zone, which is chaired by myself, an education zone chaired by our education officer, and a welfare and community zone chaired by our welfare and international officer. So if there are particular areas of interest for you, there's opportunities to be elected onto those. So definitely have a look at those. They're a great way to get involved and obviously see how things work, especially if you're interested in then perhaps becoming a sabbatical officer like myself or progressing further. Join in. Please do that. But yeah, like I was saying, there's so much to get involved with. We have our volunteering service, which last year 64,000 hours were volunteered by UCL students, and that crosses projects that already exist, as well as student-led projects, which is a really cool thing that we do. So if there is something that you're really passionate about, perhaps linked to your studies, or perhaps completely different, you're able to go and work with them to set that up. I was a part of one of those whilst I was doing my degree here, where we sung for children at UCH, and that was sort of something we did through the Musical Theatre Society. But anything you can think of, they're happy to help you do it. It is one of the largest volunteering programs in the country, so definitely make the most of that whilst you're here. We also have a job shop, which is something I think is really cool. A lot of people want part-time work whilst they're studying, because London's expensive. But hey, have a look at that. It's got loads of opportunities for working within the union, as well as opportunities in the local area that are all vetted by the union, so you know that the jobs that you're applying for and the people you're going to work for are going to treat you fairly, and you're going to fit around your studies and not going to impact it too much. Have I forgot anything else? Just the events that are coming up. Yeah, so we have our What's On calendar. It's in this lovely printout, as well as on the website if you're interested in that, and that's got all the events that are coming up over the next week and next week. There are hundreds in this welcome period. There will be something that you're interested in. A lot of them are free, things from walking tours of London to get to know it a bit better, to yoga sessions, to karaoke, to sports night. There's plenty to get involved with. Definitely come along and have, experience a few and see if you can find something that fits for you. We also didn't mention the advice service, which Danielle works in. We have our own advice service, which is really cool. They're trained advisors that can give you support across all areas, if it's finance, personal issues going on at home, issues on your course. They're happy to sit down, have meetings with you, and they'll confidentially talk you through how to deal with it. Because starting, like at any course, coming to a new place, it's a big thing, it's a big change, and often there are a lot of things that come along with that aren't necessarily things you may have thought about, like housing issues or finance issues. And it's really nice that there is a place that you can come and get direct support with that, so you're not on your own. I think, yeah.
What I would just add to that is the Students' Union is a separate organisation to the university. So by just being a student here at UCL, you're automatically a member of the Students' Union, and you can make the most of any of the services, any of the opportunities, any of the activities we do. From my perspective with the advice service, it means that we are a truly independent and confidential advice service. So you can come and talk to us as a first step, and quite often students feel that that's just quite a safe space to go to. There are lots and lots of support services within the university as well, and they are amazing and they provide a great service. We're just kind of one arm of that kind of support that's there for you. So yeah, just you are automatically a member of the Students' Union. There's nothing to pay, there's nothing you need to sign up for, unless, as Darcy said earlier, you opted out, which we're hoping you haven't. So you can take part in our elections, you can sign up for a society, you can come and use the advice service, all of that's free. Well, unless it's a particular society you need to pay for.
I think also, just before we wrap it up, this is a really cool place that we're in. Look at this theatre. Our clubs and societies get to use this space for 14 weeks out of the year and put on professional level productions. So I think if you're having a look around and you think this is a really cool space, dance shows, Welsh Society have a show, Thai Society have a show, musical theatre, live music, there's plenty to get involved with, and you could be on this stage. But yeah. Here's all of our information. There's the website, the job shop's on there, information about the advice service, an entire directory of all of our clubs and societies, as well as information about elections and how to get in contact with people like me that work to represent you. All of our social media, where you'll see all the events that are happening. And yeah, we'll keep you updated, but hopefully see you at the Welcome Fair, and then hopefully see you in the elections in October. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the Student Advice Centre, which I didn't mention, is actually really, really important. I often refer students there and encourage departments to as well, especially if you've got housing and finance problems, the non-academic ones that we can't deal with as academics. So, the final thing I wanted to do, I think it's the final thing, Rick, isn't it? And you'll get away ahead of time, is to show you the video, which is put out by Student Support and Wellbeing. Probably those of you who've done international induction might have seen this. I appreciate that, but actually there's such a lot of services and support available, it's worth having a look at it again and thinking about it. So one of my other responsibilities, apart from quality enhancement and insurance, is ensuring your welfare during your time here. And that's why we need, as a faculty, to rely on our comprehensive central services to help deal with all kinds of different problems that you have. I don't know if you recognise where this is. Yes, it's the Olympic Park in Stratford, and depending on your taste, that could be a horrible structure or not, or a lovely one. You can try the slide on it if it's still going. This is where UCL's building a new campus. We haven't built it yet, so you can't go there. But what you can do is go to that park. And if you're thinking about well-being, and our faculty's done research on this, we do research on nature, exposure to nature and public health. We've shown that actually exposures such as these, doing exercise, walking in the countryside, can have benefits for population health. So even it might not be mentioned in the video, one thing I would say is evidence-based is the importance of getting out, exercising, using facilities quite close to your doorsteps, like the Olympic Park, to make sure you have time off from your academic work. So let's just play this video, and then I'll just say a couple of closing words, and you can go.
University life can be very rewarding and lots of fun, but can sometimes also be challenging. Lots of you might find that you need additional support at some point during your programme. Some of you might also have particular circumstances that affect your studies, like a disability or a wellbeing difficulty. If you require any extra support, it's important to remember that UCL has a range of services to help you make the most of your uni experience. It takes a lot to stand up and say, "I need help." But UCL is a kind and caring environment where you're encouraged to voice your concerns. UCL's Student Support and Wellbeing Department should be your first port of call for any issues impacting on your health and wellbeing. They offer lots of advice and information on how to look after yourself as a student and have a number of teams dedicated to supporting you in different ways. This video will talk you through some of the support services available to you during your time at UCL. University is a great experience, but it can sometimes have its own challenges. As students experiencing mental health difficulties such as excessive stress, anxiety or depression is not uncommon. If you do, or you have a pre-existing mental health condition, it's important to know that there is lots of support available. Your GP can help with any mental health difficulties, and there's also lots of support available on campus. Student Support and Wellbeing have a team of friendly advisors with a wealth of expertise who are here to listen to you and to help. They can offer you a safe space to talk about anything that might be affecting your ability to study. They can refer you to other services if appropriate, and they can work closely with your department to ensure that adjustments are put in place if you need them. It's really easy to see one of the Student Support and Wellbeing advisors. You can come to one of their drop-in sessions, which happen every working day, and these are usually for short inquiries and initial support. If you find that you need more time with an advisor, you can contact them over the phone or by email to make an appointment. Full details of the time and locations of the drop-in sessions can be found on the UCL website, as well as contact details for making an appointment. As well as support through the advisors, if you're managing a long-term mental health condition, you may have access to specialist mental health mentoring. Mentors can meet with students on a regular basis, and together you can work out how to best overcome the barriers to your learning related to your mental health. There is a team of psychiatrists and therapists on campus in student psychological and counselling services. They can help you manage a range of things like adjusting to university, relationship, self-harm behaviours, bereavement and many others. You'll need to complete an online registration form, which you can find on the UCL website. After that, you'll then have an initial consultation with a therapist who will talk to you about your needs and make sure that you get the most appropriate form of support. If you find that you need support out of hours, UCL has partnered with an organisation called Care First to provide this. They have a team of accredited counsellors who you can talk to over the phone or online through live chat whenever the student support and wellbeing offices are closed. Full details of this can be found on the UCL student website. Remember that your mental health is just as important as your studies, so make sure that you look after yourself.
As students, it's really important for us to have a balance between our mental well-being and our studies. The Student Support and Wellbeing team at UCL is here to help us achieve that. So, what are the 5 key ways to looking after your mental health? The first way is to connect. You'll make the most of your time here at UCL by building a personal support network. So try to meet others, where you live, through your program, or through clubs and societies. The second way is staying physically active. Exercising and keeping your body in good shape can help improve your mental well-being as well. The third way is learning something new. Picking up a new skill can both build your sense of achievement and your confidence, so try signing up to a club or a society. The fourth way is giving to others. Even a small act of kindness can make a big difference, and helping others, no matter how you do it, will make you feel better about yourself. The final way is to be mindful. This can be as simple as taking 2 minutes to focus on the present moment, to see, hear, and feel what's going on around you. It can positively change the way you feel about life and approach challenges. It's also important to remember that something as simple as sleep is vital to your well-being. Not getting enough sleep can seriously impact your ability to study, and getting stressed about not sleeping enough will just make the situation worse. Try to find what works for you, but for most people this will be between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night. If there's anything else you need in regards to well-being, check out the Student Support and Wellbeing blog. It's got great articles on all aspects of well-being, mindfulness, and mental health support.
If you have a disability or long-term health condition, there's lots of support available to you at UCL. Student Support and Wellbeing have a team of advisors that are here to help. We can discuss how we could support you to study as independently as possible, and we'll work with you to identify solutions such as reasonable adjustments. If you consider yourself to be disabled, then get in touch with Student Support and Wellbeing to declare a condition over the phone or via email. This helps to make sure that we can get all necessary adjustments in place for you as quickly as possible. When you meet your advisor for the first time, they'll take you through the process of creating a summary of reasonable adjustments. This is a document which contains all the adjustments that you may need. This may include the use of specialised equipment, access to our specialist IT suite, extensions to your assignments, or adjustments in your exams. The Sora is designed to make things easier, as it saves you from constantly having to repeat the adjustments you need to different members of staff. The Student Support and Wellbeing team also includes advisors who are specialists in different areas. Examples of these areas include specific learning difficulties or autistic spectrum conditions. We can also arrange support workers, such as British Sign Language interpreters, note takers, or mental health mentors if needed.
Ridgemount Practice is UCL's partner GP surgery just around the corner from the main campus. It's super important for you to register with a GP as soon as you arrive at UCL, so that you'll always have access to a doctor when you're ill. When you're ill, your GP should always be your first port of call. Where you can register depends on your postcode, as you normally register with a practice that's closest to where you live. Most UCL students live in North and Central London, so you're eligible to register with the Ridgemount Practice. To register with Ridgemount Practice, you visit their website to complete an online registration form, then you go in for a quick health check and make sure to bring your student ID with you. If you're on a short course less than 6 months, you can't register with Ridgemount Practice, but don't worry because you'll still be seen as a temporary patient. If you live further away and you're not eligible to register with the Ridgemount Practice, you can always visit the NHS website to find out your closest GP and register with them. You can contact them directly on their website. If it's an emergency, remember you can always visit your local accident and emergency. The closest A&E to UCL's main campus is UCLH near Warren Street. Once you're registered with Ridgemount Practice, you can book an appointment really easily online or over the phone. They also have a walk-in surgery open on some days that's served on a first-come, first-served basis, so you can see a doctor if it's really urgent. On top of that, Ridgemont Practice also has a team of nurses that offer services like travel vaccinations, sexual health screening, contraception, and care for minor injuries. Have a look at their website for more info and remember to look after yourself at uni.
If you are living in a UCL residence hall, you will have an additional network of support. There will be hall wardens and student residence advisors, or SRAs. SRAs are all UCL postgraduate students, and hall wardens are members of the UCL staff. As an SRA, we are here to help you settle into the halls and community life in London and UCL. Alongside the staff at reception and security staff, we are here to make sure your times at UCL halls are healthy, happy, and safe. We will do this also by organizing activities for you and your fellow residents, such as volunteering and trips to the city. SRAs are available from 5:30 p.m. till 8:30 a.m. during the week. And we're also available during bank holidays, throughout the weekend, and UCL closure periods. There are different times that you might like to come to talk to us. We'll be holding daily drop-in sessions, and you can find us around the halls. We can help you with basic maintenance issues, first aid, and we're always here to listen to you. We care about your health and well-being, and can also direct you to other UCL resources. Everyone should be able to study, relax, and have a great time in our halls. So if there is a disturbance that you notice or you feel unsafe, you can also always reach out to your SRAs. You can contact us by calling the duty phone number. This number will be advertised on posters in your hall, and you can also find it on the hall warden and student residence advisor webpage. We recommend that you save the duty phone number in your phone. On the webpage, you will also find the names of all the SRAs in your hall and other useful information.
Hi, my name's Charlotte Bradley and I'm the Chaplain and Interfaith Advisor here at UCL. I'm here to provide pastoral support to all students for any issues regarding their faith or their religion. You can come and speak to me in confidence about any issue regarding your faith or belief background, or if you don't identify with a faith at all, and I'll do my best to help. You can get in contact with me by email or over the phone, and I'm always happy to see students for one-to-one appointments. We can discuss any issue relating to your faith or belief background in confidence, and I can signpost you to other organisations when it's appropriate. I can also help you find a place of worship here in London. If you're looking for a place to pray or meditate on campus, there's a large prayer room with ablutions facilities attached to it on level B2 of the new Student Centre. Next door to that, there's a silent meditation room where you can meditate, pray silently, or practice mindfulness. There's lots going on amongst the faith communities here at UCL, and all the major faiths are represented by a student society in the Students' Union. You can go along and meet them at the Welcome Fair in September, or you can get in touch with them through the Students' Union website.
The Student Inquiries Centre is a hub for all student inquiries. The team are on hand to provide you with support and information on a wide range of topics during your time at UCL. Staff in the Student Inquiries Centre can provide you with letters to prove you are a student and to confirm student status. You may also need this letter when opening a bank account or for applying for a council tax exemption if you're a full-time student. You can also request Statement of Student Status letters via Ask UCL, the online system for student inquiries, or you can print these via postcode. The Student Inquiry Centre team can also sign a wide range of forms to confirm you're enrolled at UCL, such as railcard applications if you meet the terms and conditions, or forms for Erasmus students. The Student Inquiry Centre can also answer general queries about your student record, your exams, and produce Schengen visa letters for international students. The Study Abroad team come in once a week to help students who are considering applying for a year abroad. If you have any questions or concerns and don't know where to go, the Student Inquiry Centre is a great place to start. The team are here to help and can always point you in the right direction.
Ask UCL is a smart online system for student inquiries that helps you get the answers you need. So what does it do? Well, Ask UCL is first of all an information hub with a comprehensive set of FAQs covering all sorts of common topics, from exams, fee payments and student finance, to study abroad options, disability support and mental health. So, if you have a question related to your studies or life at UCL, the FAQs will help you to figure things out. So no more feeling lost, confused or unsure. All you need to do is log in, type your question or keywords into the search bar, and you'll likely find your answer straight away. Simple. If you can't find the answer to your question in the FAQs, then you'll see an easy-to-use online form to submit your inquiry in your own words. Your inquiry will go directly to the relevant team, meaning you'll get a quick response. You can now also track your inquiry, so you'll know exactly which team is working on it and how long till you'll get a response. If you don't think we've answered your question, or if something else comes up, you can always reopen an existing inquiry. Ask UCL is changing the way we handle inquiries, giving you a faster, more secure and more streamlined service, all in one place. So you can get the information you need quicker than ever before. So from now on, if you have a question, just ask UCL.
Great. So as you'll see, there is quite a range of support available to you, and hopefully a structure that means that you can get all of your various questions and needs answered during the year. So I just want to say one more thing, which is, actually it's not quite enjoy yourselves. Can I just say one other thing? That the perfect is the enemy of the good. Can you relax? We don't have, I was never a star performer at university. You don't have to get the top grades all the time. You want to achieve a master's degree. Virtually all of you will. And you will get all kinds of support along the way to help you achieve that. Try and relax. Try and enjoy yourselves both in your academic studies and beyond. Okay? Thank you very much, and go on your way and have a great year.